Good evening, Avram.
Hey. Uh,
How do?
uh, all right, I guess.
Okay.
Um, so it looks like you only have three new articles in the upstream. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, the fourth one hasn't hit publish yet. The fourth one is Netflix subscriber growth following password
Ah,
crackdown.
aha. Okay, cool. So let's see. Well, I could talk about today's story.
You could.
Uh, I could talk about today's story. Um,
Obviously, I know what that story is already.
yeah. Um,
I saw
I
it when it
could
went
talk
live
about
earlier.
today's story. Um, I mean, I have been getting some feedback on it, so we could talk about that. Um, we've sort of talked about this topic before, but I have more, I guess, new information um, on that. Um, Otherwise, the big thing this week was the Apple event.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I mean, if we're not going to talk about it as part of something else,
I could throw. I could throw my Hololens on for the segment.
yeah.
It's right there.
Uh, I mean, I feel most like talking about the plagiarism engine, but I don't know if we're
Okay.
going to get bored of that after all this time. We didn't do it last week, though.
We didn't.
Last week was Computex, so we got
Oh.
more more stuff. I'll throw in the positive too. The positive of AI is that this week anyone can log in and use uh, Runway ML,
Yeah, I saw that.
so can have some fun with Runway ML.
You know, I I kind of feel like I should pull the Hollow Kid into the frame for tonight anyway.
Yeah, be
Yeah,
cool.
I'm good with whichever topic you want to do. Uh, either
Yeah,
either way, I'm gonna pull the Hollow Kid into frame tonight.
yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I have enough to talk about with the Hollow, the Vision Pro.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So
Although,
I've been running Watch OS 10 and iOS 17 since the
yeah,
announcement. Like, there's some changes to the watch that I really like,
yeah,
but like I was thinking at one point, I'm like, oh, maybe there's gonna be two topics this week because Twitch is really like relevant to us. I was like, oh, are there
right,
gonna be two topics this week that are like directly related to us? No, I just wasn't that interesting.
right. Ah, I mean, I think we'll mention it. I'll mention it in the pre-show part that we Andrew got an invite, but he didn't get to actually try on the helmet, um, which I'm sad because I would have liked to try on the helmet, but
Yeah, I've I've got questions from people at work who want to know how the frame of view is, and so I was thinking about emailing Mark because I know he was there.
yeah. I mean, I'll ask them. You know,
Our
I will ask them.
our whatever the you know extended reality group inside the company They're like, well, what about frame of view? I'm like, I know people. Hold on. Let me see what I can do.
I can ask Mark or Lance or one of those like 2 or 3 folks in the company who got to try it. Um, if how what the field of view was like. Um, it's very sad they didn't let them get any pictures taken in it. The only person in America who's had their picture taken in it is Gail King of Good Morning America. Apparently, got to take her picture or video in it, but um,
Weird.
nobody else would. They let them try it, but they wouldn't let them be
Yeah.
photographed trying it. And you noticed that you didn't see Tim Cook or anyone from Apple actually put it on.
Yep.
Just like stock videos of people watching
The
it,
pre-rendered
using it.
video. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I've heard it referred to as nerd goggles, and I think they're trying to avoid that perception.
then they shouldn't have made them. I mean, like,
I know. Because I'm fine with nerd goggles. I got this right here.
yeah, exactly. All right, we should get started, but yeah, it's
So,
my
so
thoughts.
today's topic.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Let's talk plagiarism, or
Okay.
do you want to talk about the
No, that's good.
goggles?
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm good with plagiarism. I think it's a good topic.
yeah. Okay, we will. I'll try not to beat this to death while we still just gotta sound the alarm while we still can.
I'm
I have some really good examples to show, which to
excellent.
show live examples to show of it. So
Excellent. Okay. All right. I need to hit this. I need to dip this up. All right. All right. I'm ready if you are.
yep.
This week, Logitech G is taking over. Twitch is backing down. Instagram is planning a thread. And Netflix is gaining new users. It is Sunday, June 11th, 2023, and this is episode 649 of F5 Live Refreshing Technology, a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat, through our live streaming services, livestream.com, Twitch, or YouTube, where you can join the community and get ad-free episodes of F5 Live and Piltch Point, or on our website, PLUGHITZlive.com. Thank you for making us a part of your day. There are 2 ways that you can do that. The first is Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can go to f5live.tv/join us. There you can chat with us in the studio, give us your feedback on the topics as we talk about them. If you're not able to join us live, that's okay. PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows, including F5 Live, Piltch Point, PLUGHITZ Live Presents, PLUGHITZ Live Unboxed, and a whole lot more. And of course, you'll find all the ways to watch, listen, and follow along. I mentioned Unboxed this week because we've got a lot of new content being published into there and into How To. There is a stack of products on the floor here from our last filming of unboxing, and a variety of cool products, including twinkly lights, which I'm very excited to do a how-to on how to set up, because I don't know if you've set these things up, Avram. It's unbelievable how easy they are. We got to see these things in action in our studio at CES. I couldn't believe how cool these things were, and I cannot wait to show people how easy it is to do.
Right.
But how have you been this week?
All right, decent. Lots of stressing, depressing stuff, but it's there's a lot to do, so it's always good to be busy.
Busy is better than not, for sure.
Yep, Yep, we'll talk about this was a exciting week in one respect, which is that we at Tom's Hardware never get invited to Apple events, and we got invited. Andrew, our senior editor, got invited, and he went, and he got to sit there and watch the same video that we got to watch remotely, because the presentation wasn't even live. Like they had a stream that they showed them in the theater there at Apple's campus. They show it on YouTube, although theirs version was like about 30 seconds ahead of ours. And
So they got the scoop.
then they got the scoop. And then at some point after that, he got to do to talk a bit, got to learn a bit more about got to learn a bit more about their new desktop or whatever. But it's not. He did not get to try on the goggles, the Vision Pro, but obviously that was a big topic this week, and whether people should spend $3,500 on today's HoloLens, which you've pulled out your HoloLens to watch us do this. And I don't know, my feeling about it is sort of like people were complaining about the cost of it, which is a lot. And it does make me think, like, how come and then people will say, oh, but the price is going to go down. But why hasn't the price gone down already? Because we had this a few years ago, and it was the HoloLens, and that was also around the same price.
This one launched at 3,000. The second gen launched at 3,500.
Right. So
I bought this one for 500.
Right. So the same price. And when did the first one come out?
17.
Was it? I feel like it was longer ago than that.
15.
Yeah. So, right. So it's been 8 years since the first HoloLens.
In fairness, it was shown off in 15. I think it launched in 16. But it was shown off at that Surface event in 2015.
So it's been around a while.
Yeah.
And now, granted, Apple's stuff has better technology, higher res,
of course,
all that kind of stuff. But the cost of doing it, of making a high-end AR headset, for whatever that a high-end AR headset means today, is not really gotten any cheaper. It's still really expensive. So I don't know how that translates into, at some point, being a consumer product where people would buy it for $500, under $1,000.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you, we interviewed a company that is part of the TCL Accelerator program at CES this year, whose name I can't come up with, that has two headsets. One is AR and one is just like a virtual screen rerouter headset. And I think they were well under 1,000, if I remember correctly. It is possible to do. Just not from Apple.
With quality, perhaps, but I mean, I think the other open question, and I'll just leave it at that, is whether or not, like, people want to have that kind of AR experience. Like, I mean,
exactly.
you need a nice house for one thing, right? Like, because I don't want to be staring at like a pile of my kids' toys and trying to like do my work on top of those, or watch a video on top of those, or whatever, right? I mean, VR would have been better for that, right?
Well, that's why they made ARs. That's why you push the button or do the whatever gesture, and the world goes away, and now you're in VR. Which
Can
technically,
you do that with it?
Yeah. There's a mode where a virtual environment assumes the real world, because it's not see-through.
Oh.
It's not the HoloLens. It is an iPhone strapped to your face. It's a very different product, and I was disappointed about that, because I started to see some leaked images, and you could see eyes in the leaked images, and I'm like, oh my god, have they actually perfected the HoloLens? No, they have not. It's the most Apple thing I've ever seen in my life. It's a screen on the front of the headset that shows your eyes.
But they're not really your eyes.
I mean, there's a camera inside that's pushing an image of your eyes out. It's the most Apple thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I know people were talking about that. I thought somehow you could still see through it or something. So in
It's
effect, it actually
entirely
is
virtually.
VR.
Yeah, it is VR.
So it's actually it is VR. It's just showing you real world through camera. So they don't need
Yeah,
to show you real eyes. They could just get a picture. It's not like your eyes change that much, right? Like
I know.
take a picture once
And yet,
and that's yeah.
and yet, they seem to have gone to a ton of trouble to make sure that the scale and the placement is exactly correct.
Could you change your eye color with it? You should be able to change your eye color, right? Like,
I don't know.
hey, I want to, I want mood eyes. Like if I'm angry, I want my eyes to be glowing red. That's what I want.
Like
Anyway,
an evil sentient robot
yeah,
in any
exactly,
sci-fi
exactly,
movie.
exactly. I want glowing red eyes. Um, with the thing. I mean, it's kind of nuts. I mean, I bet Elon Musk now is really sorry he spent all that money on Twitter because he could afford like at least two of these if he hadn't bought Twitter. Uh, but it's. I mean, I'm a big listen. I'm actually like I give a lot of. I'll leave it at this. I actually give a lot of kudos to Apple for pushing into a market that has been, kind of ignored. Well, not ignored, but has been a tough market for people to break into,
Yeah.
rather than jumping on the chatbot AI bandwagon and just saying, "Oh, look, we're going to do another chatbot because that's what everybody is talking about right now." They're going to come out with something that like could be really cool. It's just it might be like too
Mm-hmm.
expensive, and then I think the expense of it limits the utility because even if you could afford $3,500, all those people in the videos like playing soccer with their kids, I'm not gonna play ball with my kids if they could throw a ball in my face and break my $3,500 glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, and that
I
that was the problem with this thing too, right? It was $3,000. Nobody was going to wear it around the house. People don't wear the Oculus around the house, and those things originally were $300.
right,
So,
right,
I
yeah.
I think it's a make or break moment for AR. I feel really bad for Magic Leap because their second generation hardware is not ready yet. Because if they could get their second gen hardware out Friday, I think they'd own the space. But I think this is going to be a bit of a make or break. If Apple can't make it work today, wasn't the case always in the past for different product categories. But if Apple can't make it work today, ain't nobody making it work tomorrow. So we'll see. We also don't exactly have a timeline on this thing. The fact that they've got developer units is not a great sign because normally Apple only does developer units when there's going to be a huge lead time between an announcement and a release.
Right.
So we'll see how all that plays out, but I don't know. I think the $3,500 is gonna really hamper its possible market value. But I just gotta have our Hollow Kit out here tonight because it seemed appropriate.
Yep.
So anyway, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, including some stuff that was going to affect us that we were really worried about here in the office. So we're going to get down to that. Before we do, a reminder, if you are joining us on Facebook or Twitter, it's time to join us over at f5live.tv/join us because you're about to go dark. For the rest of you, let's get started. This week's Nifty Gifties on F5 Live Refreshing Technology is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new laptop, tablet, Xbox, games, or a whole lot more, you can get them at the Microsoft Store. Remember, current students, faculty, parents, and active military can save up to 10% off almost everything. To browse the products and learn more about the discounts, you can go to f5live.tv/Microsoft. Speaking of a long-time Microsoft partner, some things are happening over at Logitech. Over the last couple years, the company has been purchasing a lot of companies, particularly in the content creator and gaming/streaming space. Blue Microphones, for example, which was created by our good friend Skipper Wise, who also created this company and designed this microphone sitting in front of me. And the one sitting in front of Avram. You just can't see it. Those were both designed by Skipper. He started Blue Microphones. Logitech purchased them in 2018. Before that, ASTRO Gaming, a premium line of gaming accessories, was purchased by Logitech in 2017. In just 2021, Logitech purchased Mevo, the camera that's sitting here in front of me, and in fact it's the camera you're watching me on right now, and that was brought into their Logitech for Creators brand, and the Mevo name has been subsumed into that Logitech for Creators. Now all of it is being done away with at different levels, and it's all coming under the Logitech G brand, which is their gaming accessories. Blue is no more as of, I think, July 7th. Blue will be no more. All of the microphones built under the Blue name, like the Yeti X, the Snowball, will all move under the Logitech G name entirely. So it'll be the Logitech G Yeti, the Logitech G Snowball, no longer the Blue Yeti or Blue Snowball. Astro will become a product series inside of Logitech G. So Logitech G has like their Pro line, and above that is going to be the Astro line, but they will not operate independently. And all of Logitech for Creators is gone and coming under the Logitech G umbrella as well. We don't know exactly what the name Mevo is going to do, because I'll tell you, I've got 2 sets of Mevos here in the studio right now. The other one's just out of reach. The first generation has the Mevo logo here on the side. The second generation does not, but it does have the Logi logo on the front under the lens. So it's possible that we will also see the Mevo branding go away as well. They did not talk about Mevo, but they did talk about the parent of Logitech for Creators. I think this is an interesting move. I think I understand why they're getting rid of the Blue branding. In the interim years between Skipper leaving and Logitech buying them, their quality was questionable. My brother purchased a Blue Snowball that was produced after his departure, and it shocked him on several occasions. So production quality went down, and I think that probably hurt the brand, and so dumping the brand name entirely is probably an okay idea. Maintaining Astro seems like a good idea, since people in the gaming space know Astro and know it for its quality. And I don't think anybody knows what Logitech for Creators even existed, except for me, because I've got a box over there that has it on the as a sticker on the side. But I mean, there's history to these names, and I don't know. Sometimes I get weird about throwing the history of the brand away unless the brand has been totally destroyed. I don't think Blue's
Yeah,
totally destroyed. I think it could have been rehabilitated. Astro definitely isn't. I don't think enough people even knew what Mevo was to feel like it was damaged. I What do you think?
I mean, it's one of those things that's a tough call if you're a company is managing different brands and
Mm-hmm.
deciding how much you're going to keep that brand alive. So, um, HP has a really bad history with sort of taking the life out of brands and
Oh,
that they
Palm.
bought. And
Oh, I'm sorry. I coughed Palm.
Palm is obviously a huge one, but Voodoo is another one that
Yeah.
comes to mind that they bought. Like, people probably don't even remember now that Voodoo was like a high end gaming PC company,
Yeah.
and they bought Voodoo, and then it was like, okay, we're going to have a couple of things with Voodoo name on it, and then they almost immediately got rid of the Voodoo name. I don't think anything having to do with Voodoo remained, but periodically they would come out with a laptop or a desktop and say it has Voodoo DNA. Like, what does that mean? Uh, so
It was designed by
you
the
know,
people we purchased in the acquisition.
yeah. Now, at the moment, they still haven't like killed HyperX. Um, so like HyperX, they bought HyperX from Kingston,
Yeah.
and they're still and it still exists as a brand. So, I mean, what they're doing as a brand, I'm not sure is fantastic, but they still exist. So, I mean, Logitech obviously has a lot of. I mean, I don't know about the Logitech G brand specifically, but Logitech as a brand has a lot of brand equity. Uh,
Very true.
Generally, their reputation is good, although it's not really. I don't know if it's broken through as a gamer brand, even though they have the Logitech G stuff, and
Logitech
it is
G.
pretty good.
Logitech G is a pretty solid name in the
I
gaming
mean,
space, especially the Logitech G
it's
Pro. I've got I've got uh, Logitech G keyboard and mouse now at Mission Control.
yeah. I mean, their keyboards and mice are really good. I don't doubt that they are. I don't know if that word has broken through to the gaming community,
So
uh,
the thing
but
that's interesting is Astro, which they're not getting rid of, they're just making it the Logitech G Astro series, right? Has a lot of brand equity in the gaming world as like above pro level audio mixers and headsets and controllers and kind of a whole line of stuff. And I don't know if that's going to trickle if they put the Logitech G name in front of it. Is that going to help trickle it down, or is that going to water down Astro? Right? I don't know.
right, it's. I mean, it's hard to say. I think that their goal seems to be that they want everything to fall under the Logitech G brand. Um, Not great news for people who loved Blue, but I don't know. I don't feel like the Blue name was so fantastic that it needs to remain.
Yeah,
Um,
certainly not
I
in modern day. If we go back to the
right,
days, because they were originally founded making professional microphones for stage and
yeah,
screen.
yeah,
Because Skipper Wise is a blues musician, if I remember correctly, who hated the quality of microphones and set about to make something better. And
yeah,
then things devolved at some point into, the snowball and the Yeti that we know today,
yeah.
of which you had one fall apart on your desk one day.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't like it. I didn't. I mean, it was okay for like a little while, but I didn't really like the way that it like rocked back and forth or whatever. And then one day the and apparently this was very common. Having looked it up, the USB port just kind of broke, and there are videos online about how you could open it up and try and buy a new USB receptacle and solder
Hmm.
it. But I end up buying this Bumblebee, and I love the Bumblebee, and I love it because it's designed to not look like a Yeti. So
Yeah.
um, which a lot of things are designed to look like the Yeti because
Yeah.
I guess they decided that that's a good form factor for a mic where it's like on this little stand and it kind of rocks back and forth. But I don't like that. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't.
I'm a big fan of this whole line. Obviously, there's still one sitting on my desk, first gen.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I didn't like the second gen as much because first of all they tried to be more traditional look, and then
yeah.
they went away from the Bumblebee branding or whatever. Well, I mean they want to make it black and yellow so much or whatever because I guess they thought it was too, I don't know, polarizing or whatever. But whatever. Anyway, so
And I think they stopped coming with the characters.
yeah, because they didn't think it was cool anymore. They don't want to be cool anymore. That's I think that happens a lot when you get bought. You don't get to be cool anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Neat is now under its fourth ownership since it was founded.
is it Turtle Beach or
It's
something?
Turtle Beach now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was originally
So
Gibson. When they were making and this and all the like cool stuff, it was Gibson, the
yeah,
guitar company that makes, you know, green wooden guitars and, the Les Paul series, and
yeah,
they know how to be
yeah.
cool.
Cool stuff.
And Turtle Beach was like,
Exactly.
we're going to go with understated. All right.
Yep.
Fine.
Yep. So anyway, to make a long story short, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like anyone's going to miss those brands too much. I don't think that it's poison exactly because the you know the Logitech G brand is a strong brand. It's not like
Yeah.
they're trying to hook it to a brand that is you know
Yeah.
that is disreputable.
It's true. It's the only one that I feel so Mevo I feel a personal connection to, and I hope that we don't lose that name. But the one that I worry about is Astro, because like right now Astro has its own website, it has its own identity, and if I remember correctly, if you go to the website right now, I don't even think if you look, you'll find a Logitech logo on the site like you will for Mevo. Yeah, certainly not on the homepage. Somewhere you might be able to find it, but nowhere on the homepage do you see a Logitech logo. You do on the Mevo site right away, and I think Blue as well. So I worry that one might get diluted. Not that I worry about the quality of the product changing, because Logitech's been designing and producing the Astro product since 2017. So, I'm not worried about the quality of the product changing. I'm just worried that maybe the brand itself might get diluted if from people who don't know already that it's Logitech. But I imagine Logitech has a better history with maintaining their brands and dealing with this type of thing than say HP for sure, because I'm pretty sure everybody's got a better history than HP, except maybe Facebook. Uh, but yeah, I assume they've put in the research. They've decided that the risk is worth taking. But Astro worries me a little bit, but not enough that I think it's going to go anywhere. So we will see. It looks like July 7th is the magic day that stuff starts to happen. I know all of the social channels are going to collapse in on the Logitech G brand that day. So if you're following Logitech for Creators or possibly Mevo, I don't know, Astro, Blue, all of those are going to collapse in on the Logitech G social media channels on, I think, July 7th. And then I imagine we'll start seeing the websites redirect and things like that shortly after. But, there's a lot of history in these brands. Hopefully they don't get screwed up in this move. Fingers crossed. This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all of your devices. You can get a special price and a 31-day money-back guarantee right now by going to piltchpoint.live/PureVPN. I really like that new music. I feel like we're back to the old days with like headbanging music for the Piltch Point. Anyway, we've got some more AI stuff going on this week, right, Avram? You are muted, friend.
Sorry, I don't know where that is. Yes, I'm going to do some headbanging. This story is going to make me want to do some headbanging, but not the good kind.
Yeah.
The sort of the banging into the wall kind. Yeah. So, well, let's start with some good news, just for the heck of it. The good news is that I think I may have mentioned, I probably mentioned a few weeks ago that Runway Gen 2 is a absolutely fantastic video to text to video AI, and it was in private beta. But good news, it is no longer in private beta. Anybody can get it, although you have a limited number of like a minute worth of video you can make out of 4-second videos. So, just to get things on a nice mode. And we have a story about this in Tom's Hardware. If you go to runwayml.com and you sign up for a free account, you can generate a video. So we did this. I think we've done this once before, but the UI is slightly different because now it's web-based instead of going through Discord. Now that's available to everyone. So, and you can upload pictures. So here I'm going to take this picture of me to add to my prompt. Now let's see. Shall I ask it to see me doing something? What should I say? This guy banging his head against a wall.
I was going to say something very similar, so that works out well.
Okay, so I hit generate. Because I'm not on a paid account, I might have to wait a minute, and then it's going to queue up, and you can actually, unlike what we saw with Discord, where it just kind of comes back to you eventually, here you could actually see the progress rate. So while we're waiting so let's leave this for a moment and talk about our main topic for today, which is that Google's SGE, Search Generative Experience, is showing itself to be an existential threat to the free and open internet. And because not only is it, basically trying to get rid of regular search, but it's also a massive plagiarism engine. So I don't know if I've actually shown SGE on the air before on this show. Have I?
I don't think so.
I've shown Bard probably, but I don't think I showed SGE. So let's talk a minute about SGE. So SGE means Search Generative Experience, and if you are signed up for the beta, which you can sign up and you may or may not get in right away, but I'm in, and all of your searches will be like this. So let me do a search that most searches will pull up the AI. So I'll do best CPU. So at first you'll see regular search, but then you see this generating thing, and it can be quite slow, but I can assume that Google will get a faster computer. So you see what just happened? The search results are gone. once it's loaded. I mean, I don't mean they're gone. I mean, you got to scroll down about, but a lot of
That's a
people are not going to
that's a
do that.
that's a full screen worth of Google takeover.
Right. Correct. Correct. That's why I say they're killing search, because, it's the entire, I mean, depending on what you do, it may or may not take up the entire screen. Uh, but a lot of the time it takes up the entire screen. And this, by the way, is a 4K monitor that you're looking at it on.
Right.
Although it is at like 175% scaling. So I don't know. It's like, I measured this the other day and it was like 1360 pixels to the first result. And that's without having an advertisement here, which you would expect that there would be. So anyway, so I searched for best CPU, and rather than giving you links to best CPU from Tom's Hardware, which is the #1 result otherwise, it gives you Google's choices of best CPU, and which are not necessarily good. So first of all, this advice is very generic, right? Like performance, get good number of cores, whatever. And then you have these, which are shopping links. And this is interesting. It usually actually gives you a model number, but here it just says AMD Ryzen processor. Thanks a lot. For those who are even teeniest bit familiar with CPUs, they know that Ryzen is an entire line of processors, of which there are dozens of models. So I'll click here, and Google's going to get me to go and spend money, but no credit to wherever they just whoever's work they looked at to decide this information. And their related link, so they do have their defense, Google's defense is, look, we have 3 related links here, which they don't always have. But the related links are not necessarily to reputable websites. So this here is, what is the name of this site? Make Tech Easier. Oh, that site. Everyone knows Make Tech Easier. How about when you're searching for best CPU, of course you want MacPaw. How to choose the best processor for your MacBook. Or how to choose processor speed from smallbusiness.cron.com. Yeah, why should we give people like Tom's Hardware, or even one of our competitors like PC Mag or PC World, send them to smallbusinesscron.com for their CPU advice? So these are poor quality links. But in a lot of cases, what's even worse is that, well, I don't know if it's worse. What's also really bad is that this stuff is copied word for word. So if you click this button here, you can expand and you can sort of see these. I don't consider this to be a citation. A citation is direct quotes or a footnote or something. But here you can sort of see, you can sort of see where they took the information from. So let's take a look at maybe a better one that I've already tracked back to where everything comes from. So here's a graphic where I actually circled everything. So I did a search for ThinkPad X13 AMD review, and I went and drew out how it had taken different pieces, sometimes word for word or sometimes changing a couple words, to write its own little mini review here. So for example, Laptop Mag has a section where it says the keyboard is as fantastic as ever. There are plenty of ports, and the chassis is tested to military grade durability. And it says here, it has a comfortable keyboard, military grade durability, and plenty of ports, right? In another section, we said comfortable keyboard. They put comfortable keyboard. We said some site called Laptop Outlet, which sells laptops, says that it is, quote, packed with high-performing AMD's Ryzen 7 Pro. So what did they change it to? The ThinkPad X13 has an AMD Ryzen 7 Pro chipset, and so the best and cheapest laptops out there. You see that it used the exact same words, best and cheapest laptops out there, right? The other thing that was interesting is Notebook Check. This is a very odd little thing that they took the Notebook Check, said that the screen shows good response rates are test, but may be too slow for competitive gamers. Which nobody's going to buy a ThinkPad X13 to be a competitive gamer. But for some reason, Google picked up on that and put not great for competitive gamers, maybe too slow for competitive gamers. The other thing is that these there's a couple other things wrong in this example. One is that um, these are not all reviews of the same product. So it says here, the laptop is up to Gen 3 now, which is the latest version. When I Googled it, I said ThinkPad X13 AMD review. Now, it doesn't know that I meant the latest one, but it's probably good to give people the latest one. The reviews here from Laptop Mag and Tom's Hardware were for Gen 1 and Gen 2. So it's taking information from the wrong review of the wrong product. The other thing is it's inconsistent within itself. So these reviews said this has short battery life. The battery life is really short, but here they say it has long battery life. I guess they took that part from someplace else. So it's taking bits and pieces and throwing them together into a plagiarism stew that doesn't quite, add up. Now, you might say, why did you use a screenshot and not just show me this? I can show you, but the thing is that the results aren't identical every time. So here I actually went through and mapped it. But here's one I just did Dell XPS 13. So notice I searched for Dell XPS 13. It's giving me, now good news here is in this case, it's not taking up the entire screen. But it's giving me its own also little review. And I can sort of see where it took stuff from. And one thing that's interesting is it says 3.5K OLED screen and a sleek, opulent style. Well, sleek, opulent style is a very specific wording, don't you think? So,
Yes.
Yes. So here it is. Ozbot, I've never heard of them, says that the Dell XPS 13 has a sleek, opulent style. So,
Wait.
it thinks that it's a sleek.
The people who make the cameras?
I don't know who they are. Who is Ozbot? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
I
the
guess.
people who make the cameras.
Why do they even have a page on this topic?
Who knows?
I honestly don't like
I
work from home
recognized
trucks.
I recognized the logo immediately because we had them on the show this year, I think. Or Todd
Why did they
interviewed them
do?
at in their booth.
Why
Either
did
way,
they do this? Um,
content marketing.
I yes, right. Okay, so that's another so what you point out is actually an interesting thing, right? So Google's not for now. Maybe it'll get better at this. I won't say that this is Google is not being very discerning about the quality or objectivity of the sites that it is taking from, right? It is not taking from the sites that the Google organic SERP thinks are the most relevant. Like, if I look here, The Verge, well, these are Amazon or whatever, because I didn't put a review, so whatever. But CNET, Digital Trends, whatever, all have Dell XPS 13 stuff, and they're all reputable journalism websites. Forbes, you could say, okay, is a reputable journalism website. The Verge, but content marketing also got sucked up in there, right? So they're not, they're not doing what Google search normally does, which is to say, okay, we're going to look at the reputation of this website and see if it is a site that has domain authority on this topic, or the author has authority on this topic. They're just grabbing stuff from everywhere and throwing it all together, mixing it all together. And that's that's not a recipe for a good result. And sometimes it's a little bit more apparent than others. So like, here's how to boil an egg, right? So Google has, if for folks who are familiar with how Google works, in normal search, they have something called a featured snippet, which is like they kind of take a quote from an article and they put it in like the top result and they link to it. Now, this obviously hasn't been great for, may or may not have been great for traffic for the website involved, but at least it cites them directly, and there's a good chance that people will click through to see more. What they're doing here is they're not citing it. They're using it as a related link. So here you can see almost word for word. Place eggs in a medium pot, place eggs in a medium pot, and cover with cold water by 1 inch. It's word for word, right? Word for word taken from this, but not attributed. These are not, I don't consider these to be attributions, right? So that's, part of what's going on is that they're taking stuff, sometimes very often word from word, smattering it together and calling it their own, and putting these sort of links off to the side that may not even be high quality, may or may not be related to what probably are related to what's here, but may not necessarily be the best thing. And they're taking, in some cases, they're taking up either half of or the entire screen. And in some cases, they don't give you related links at all. So like here's screenshot in Windows, right? No related links here whatsoever. And this came from somewhere. Somebody wrote this. Maybe it was Microsoft, whatever. And part of and so I think there's a few different problems that are happening together. One is obviously plagiarism. They're taking, I don't know. Some people are saying, oh, it's okay because they've related links, or if they change 2 or 3 words, it's not plagiarism. I would think of this as plagiarism. But plagiarism is not a legal definition. Plagiarism is an academic definition, and it's somewhat of a moral definition, but it's not a legal definition. The legal issue is copyright infringement. And, that has yet to be litigated in court, but I think there's a decent chance that it will be. The News and Media Alliance, which represents newspapers and magazines, has said, and I quote, "The unlicensed use of content created by our companies and journalists by GAI systems is an intellectual property infringement. GAI systems are using proprietary content without permission." And that's what's happening here. No, I guarantee you that nobody, certainly not us, gave Google permission to do this to our content. So they're taking content, they may get better at rewording it so it's harder to track back to the source, but they're taking content and they're taking content and they are using it to create a situation where there may be no clicks going back to the people who actually did the writing, and there may not even be any credit going back to them. Well, that is very bad news for the internet, because if that is what the internet is going to become, then you end up with bad advice because it's a smattering of junk. B, it's bad advice because nobody's standing behind it, right? Whose review is whose advice is this? Whose advice is this? It's not Tom's Hardware's, it's not laptops, it's not laptop outlets. It's the bots copied from them. And the bot isn't even consistent with itself, but let's say that it was. The bot is the authority here. When something bad happens as a result of your following the bot's advice, who's responsible? For example, here, Google's not always saying that it doesn't want to mess with what they call YMYL, your money or your life queries. But this is your money or your life query, and they were more than happy to answer it incorrectly. So I asked it, should I get a colonoscopy? The current, for those who are not up in the colonoscopy scene, it has been recommended for like the last 3 years or so that anyone over age 45 get a colonoscopy as part of just routine screening. But here they have conflicting information that's wrong. It says the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force recommends adults age 45 to 75 be screened, And then it says the American Cancer Society recommends that men and women should be screened for colorectal cancer starting at age 50. That is actually not correct. The American Cancer Society's webpage says 45. So it's got outdated information that it probably grabbed from one of these um, sites. By the way, one of these sites here, the top one, is a health insurance site, not, the Centers for Disease Control is on there also, but Health Partners is a health insurer site. Is that where you should be presenting health information from, the insurer site, over, American Medical Association or the CDC or whatever, like reputable governmental and industry groups? And here it also has, confusing information because it says the reasons to have a colonoscopy include all these symptoms when actually you're supposed to have a colonoscopy as a regular screening. So anyway, I know Google could make a better AI and improve this and not do this, but this is dangerous. And yeah, okay, maybe they'll stop doing some health ones when they realize that this is dangerous. I tried to do this query like 5 minutes ago, and it for this time it didn't actually give me an answer like it did like yesterday, the day before. But it, I would consider giving you bad advice about what CPU to buy also a your money or your life question. I mean, it's not life and death, but it is your money. And it is advice. So we are asking for Google's asking folks to just to forget about expert humans who have experience and just trust their bot. Don't worry about what the humans say. Don't look for someone who has, years of experience or who actually performed the thing that, we actually tested the CPUs. We actually tried the laptops. Google's bot, no matter how advanced it gets, will never be able to do that ever because it's an LLM. It does not have arms and legs. So, what Google is doing here is an anti-competitive practice. It is doing something that is likely, if they were to roll it out to the public, to result in massive economic turmoil to anyone who publishes anything on the internet. Massive. Because, if you see how far you have to scroll to get to the first organic search link, even though the quality of the answers is not good, and even if they got better, they would not have the authority of a person standing behind them to say, oh, I trust that person, I trust that news outlet, or I don't trust that news outlet. So, I'm not going to get my laptop advice from a webcam website, right? But by trying to kind of obscure where it's getting the information from without directly quoting it, by trying to kind of push down human expertise in favor of its bot, Google is providing a poor experience, but a lot of people are just going to accept it because Google controls 91% of the search market. The end result is going to be a lot of companies losing a ton of traffic and revenue overnight, places going behind paywalls, places going out of business. If Google rolled this out tomorrow, I bet that like a very significant portion of web publishers who do not already make a lot of their money from subscription revenue would fold within probably within a few months. That's how significant. Now that says some bad things about how dependent the internet economy is on Google playing fair, and this is anything but playing fair. It's taking your own content and using it to prevent people from visiting your website. And Google's response to all of this, of course, is, oh, we're just experimenting. It's okay. It's fine. We don't know if we'll roll it out like this. But Bing launched its experiment in January, I believe, and it's now live, right, for everyone. Now, Bing
Yeah,
handles this much better.
I'm
Uh,
looking at it in my Windows 11 taskbar.
right. Now, to be fair, Bing, by the way, Bing does this the right way. I mean, I don't know if they do it a great way, but they do it a much better way. So, on Bing, uh, just I'll show real quick on Bing, like if you're on Bing, first of all, it's not generally not the default option, right? So if I'm here in Bing and I do best CPU, it's going to give me, no, we don't come out number one, which is bad, but they have a legit number one, which is PC Mag, right? So um, so Bing gives you the search results, and then I scrolled up to get, like, I had to scroll up to get this, right? So I scrolled up or I hit chat, and then when it gives me answers, it says Tom's Hardware recommends, they also recommend, and like these are citations with links. So I had, I've had kind of an ongoing little friendly or not so, debate with some folks I know who are professional SEO folks who feel that some of these articles I've written about Google are unfair to Google. They're experimenting. Give them a break. Um, I mean, I really hope that they're just playing around, but Bing, from the moment they launched their testing, had citations, put things side by side with search. Bing from the start has, at least taken publishers into account, taken search into account, and not tried to present its bot as all seeing and all knowing, while plagiarizing from people. So Google could have done the same thing, and people have complained about its lack of proper citations back to when they had Bard. I mean, they still have Bard, but back to when before Bard launched. So Google clearly has a philosophy, which is expressed in some of their documentation, that their bot doesn't copy things, their bot creates. And so it would break the illusion that their bot was so smart if it actually did what Bing does, and have footnotes and sources. So um, so I don't think that it's too soon to raise the alarm that what Google is doing here could be deadly for the internet. Also, Bing, for better or worse, controls maybe 3% of search. So even if Bing uh, was doing things the way that Google is doing it, it wouldn't be as big an area of concern, because any traffic they get, it's sort of iterative. But Google is abusing its with if Google rolls this out, it's abusing its monopoly position. It's turning itself into the publisher. Instead of being a search engine, it will be a plagiarism engine. And that is very frightening, and it should frighten everybody, not just those of us who make a living from people coming to visit our websites. It should frighten those of you who uh, care about having websites out there for you to visit. And frankly, I even think folks who contribute to the internet for free would be put off by this. Like if you're running a free, let's say you're just running a blog about a topic because you just like, providing content and getting feedback from people, and maybe it's good for your reputation or whatever. You're running a little blog on the side, or you're go someone who goes and contributes to a lot of forums, or you're answering a lot of people's questions on Stack Overflow. Like, why would you do it if all you're doing is feeding Google stuff that can be used by its bot with no credit for you, and nobody even sees the work that you've done.
Yeah. Just because I want to show this off. As you were talking, I was testing things on Bing. Because I knew there was another UI experience that I had encountered. And so I kept going until I got it. So what I did was I searched for what is the best CPU for gaming, and you can see I got the Bing chatbot to come up with, oh, you can't see my mouse, to come up with content um, showing showing an answer. So it did take over where search results should be, right, pushing them down, but they did it in a very small box that you can expand larger. And as you said, there are learn more links. Interestingly, one of them is seemingly self-referential, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying they're doing this perfectly. They could certainly be doing better, but like, yeah, it's showing you that, and more importantly, what it's really saying is, hey, I'm not the resource here. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
summarizing what's out there. Now go. Now you can go read. Like
Yeah. Because
that,
here's,
I think is a
according to PC
yeah.
Gamer, PC Games N,
N.
Tom's Hardware. There you are. Um, and they're all like direct linked, right? This is
Right.
where we
So
pulled this information from. It's like you said, it's not necessarily great. It's not the best situation, but it's essentially an upgraded version of the answer box, right? It's
right.
giving an answer and giving the link to where it got the answer from. That's an upgraded version of the answer box as far as I'm concerned. It's very different from the version that you showed from Google that was a whole screen, wall of text, and no references to be found.
Yeah, I mean, unless you count those little thumbnails on the side, which is what Google would say, right? Oh, look, we
But
have
did
these three little
but on one of them, I
links on the
thought
side.
I thought there was one that didn't have any.
Yes, correct. The screenshot in Windows. So it's
Yeah,
not always there. It's not always there.
right.
Um, and it's not always there. It takes over a good chunk of, if not the whole page. So I mean, yes, the search links are still there. If you scroll down, they have the related links, which if they really were serious about providing, like, this isn't, I think this is really what has to be emphasized to folks. This isn't about AI versus humans. This is about an anti-competitive practice by the world's by a virtual monopoly
Mm-hmm.
uh, in Google. They control 91% of the search market. And while, yes, people have choices and can go to Bing or DuckDuckGo, for better or worse, Google, and they got there by providing a good experience. I've always been a big fan of Google, actually. Like, they provided a good experience. They beat the likes of, Alta Vista and Excite by providing you with a clean, fast experience that gave you good results.
Yeah.
But now that they have the 91%, this is indicative of, hey, we don't want to be a search engine anymore. We want people to stay on our site so we can keep all the ad dollars and all of the, e-commerce dollars here on Google, which is more profitable. And sorry guys, we're happy to take your data, but as far as actually driving traffic back to you, well, we'll throw a couple of little links in the side and say that we're not killing the open web. Um, the the question is, do people come to a search engine because they want to know what the search engine thinks, or do people come to the search engine because they want to find something? And
Yeah.
um, and Google is betting on its own reputation. It's replacing a cacophony of infinite voices with its own voice, although its own voice is a plagiarized voice. So I think this is of great concern. I hope that, like a lot of people who I've talked to say, oh, they can't possibly roll it out like this. I hope they're right, but I'm not counting on there being on it. I'm hoping that folks will, especially folks in the media industry, but other folks will see this and say, like, hey, this is not good. This is not good for a reader user experience. This is not good for the future of the internet.
It sounds to me like that website that well, uh, we registered a number of years ago has a new purpose coming, the freeweb.rocks. It might it
Yeah.
might be it might be time to repurpose that
So,
from just ad blockers to
yeah.
anti-plagiarism.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm the killjoy. I'm the like the Lars Ulrich of internet content because like people everybody loved Napster, and then Lars Ulrich, drummer of Metallica, was like, "Hey, you guys are stealing our songs," and
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, "What a killjoy! I just want to download my free music," and I got some responses from today when I published this article from some people saying like, "Oh no, I like the Google search generative experience because I don't see as many ads." Uh, and and if I click through to find things, if I click through an actual website, I'll see ads. Well, first
Huh.
of all, that's something that's going to change. Okay, Google is right now not serving up a lot of ads in the search generative experience because it's testing. But believe you me, they will absolutely be serving up. In fact, those three related links might not be editorial anymore when this goes live. Maybe they will just be, sponsored links.
And
Um,
technically, the definition of ad, I based on the SEC, those shopping links from the processor are technically ads because they're
oh yeah,
affiliate links. And
oh
I
yeah, yeah.
guarantee
I mean
it's not disclosed.
that's a money. I mean, Google has shopping links all the time. Uh, to be fair, right? They have
Mm-hmm.
it now. Like if you don't have this, but FYI, that's going to be like people will absolutely lose their jobs over that. I don't mean people at Google. I mean, people will absolutely lose their jobs over that because there's a lot of sites that are kind of reliant on giving buying advice, like this is the best CPU for you. And then when you go and you read that buying advice, there's links and like, hey, click this. If you click this, those sites get a affiliate commission.
Yeah.
Well, Google is grabbing that affiliate commission for themselves while
Right.
taking the advice that those sites gave and making it its own. So like that's very problematic.
There was a
So
huge there was a huge lawsuit between Yelp and Google over Google Places, which doesn't exist anymore because of the lawsuit, over exactly this topic, and Google lost in court. That they were
right.
taking
So
content from Yelp and claiming it as their own and putting their own banner over top. It was considered plagiarism then. I don't understand how this is considered anything else.
I think the AI, I think this is where people are being fooled by the fact that this is AI. Forget that it's AI. Forget that there is a bot involved. Okay. You could hire a bunch of people for very cheap, probably, to go and do the same thing with humans. Take a whole bunch of words and sentences from other people's websites and copy and paste them into a bunch of responses, right? You could hire a bunch of human plagiarists. This is just plagiarism at scale, right? Like that's what it is. It's not. Now, we could argue, and I think there's a really good philosophical argument about whether any type of uh, answer from an AI would be plagiarism because the AI's never done anything that it's talked about. It has no life experience. It's done nothing. So it's going to get that data from somewhere. The only way that the only right now, because it's in beta, one thing that they'll probably do a much better job of in the future is laundering the plagiarism. Like right now, it's very easy to trace back where each sentence came from or where certain words came from. Yeah, I bet you that they could figure out a way in the future to not use the word opulent, right? Like, oh yeah, they said opulent. Let's find another word for that, right? Like that's easy enough. Easy enough to do with technology would be to make this it less obvious where they took it from. But make no mistake, they have to have taken it from somewhere because the bot did not go and work at a computer website for years of its life. The bot did not go and become a cook and learn how to boil eggs. the bot is just taking information from somewhere and rewording it. That is, or not even rewording it. So I think, you know, this is why I'm not such a big fan of a lot of these LLMs, because all they're really doing is taking things that other people have said and rewording them. Now, when you ask it, what a bot I think is really good at, if we care, is making up weird creative stuff, not finding facts or truth or offering advice. But if you ask it to make like a Shakespearean sonnet about flatulence, it'll pop you one out in like 30 seconds, and it might be funny. Like,
Pop you
if
one
you
out.
ask it,
That was a wonderful wording.
you know, but but anyway, like, this kind of thing, and this is, I'll leave you with this, but since we didn't show it yet, the bang in the wall, this is what I got from my this guy banged his head in the wall. Let's see what it looks like. Well, he's not really banging his head in the wall, is he? But does he look like me? Kinda. Uh, kinda. I love that I have a hat on in this, but they assume that I'm bald. I guess they know. Now,
They're watching the
by the
show.
way, but by the way, I have no idea. Like Runway, I have no idea where their training data is coming from, right? Like this isn't just a text problem. I'm just a text person, so that matters. What matters to me, but like I have no idea where this person's beard came from or whatever. Like is now. I have to say, unlike some other resources I've used where they just like it's clear that they took it from somewhere. Without permission, I don't know where Runway got its training data. Maybe it paid for a whole library of stuff. I don't know, but certainly like Getty is suing Stable Diffusion, and this week I think asked a London court to block Stable Diffusion from doing business in the UK. So, I think unfortunately we're going to need more lawsuits like that, because AI should not be like, it's great when you can use AI for natural language stuff. You can use it for transcriptions. Lovely. There's so many great things you can do with AI. The problem is not AI. The problem is that AI is being used as a plagiarism tool, and intellectual property still matters whether it's being stolen by an AI or stolen by a human. So that's my 2 cents. Anyway, you can read a lot more about this on tomshardware.com.
Oh, just I asked Bing to write that sonnet, by the way. It's pretty funny.
I mean, they're really good, and I mean, like, when people use these things in a funny way, it's like, look, fine, it's cute, right? Like we talked about the Pizza Later video and showed it a few weeks ago. That was made with Runway ML, right? And they have a new one called PLUGHITZ, which is a commercial for a drug to help you not fart, and it is absolutely hysterical.
Oh.
So like, yeah, great, that's a good use of AI, I guess. But like, we have to be conscientious about the fact that everything that these AIs are spitting out was somewhere in link in the chain was created by a human.
Just point out that a Bing search for flatulence brings up Tom's Hardware as the top result.
Yeah, I wrote an article about it because I had to call attention. Like, read our article, but go watch the video about flatulence because it's hysterical.
I do appreciate that your article is the first result, though. That I always enjoy.
I have to, if we can't rank for best CPU because Google's going to take that, we have to rank for flatulence. That has to be we have to come up number one for something.
And on that note, the first line of this sonnet is, "Oh, how the wind doth blow from out thy rear."
Yeah.
I'm going to include the entire sonnet in the summary of this episode. If you're watching live, you'll have to wait until tonight. If you're not watching live, check the description in the video that you're watching right now to read the sonnet that Bing came up with. Hilarious. Anyway, big topic, important topic. I always appreciate it, Avram. This is a problem for all of us online, and I'm like, I have our website up, and I'm thinking about how to rework it to include not just ad blockers but also
Yep.
generative AI and
Ad
particularly
blockers.
Bing
I mean,
and Google.
it seems so quaint
I
because at
know.
least with people ran ad blockers, they saw our work.
I know. At
Like
least you
they
could
wanted
count.
to see our work.
At least you could
You
count
know,
their view as a stat.
yeah. At least they read our work. I mean, listen, if I had some kind of wealthy benefactor, I'd be happy to run a website with no ads and just do this for the heck of it.
Sure.
But even if I had a wealthy benefactor, I wouldn't want to do something just to help Google come up with better answers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is going to be a problem. It's going to be interesting to see if and or how Google decides they want to address this. Like you said, maybe they don't come out with it like this, but who knows? Trying to bank on Google's largesse is probably not the place to be. So we probably need to be prepared for what is to come. As always, Avram, I appreciate the information, and I look forward to what we talk about next. This week's Extra Life on F5 Live Refreshing Technology is proudly powered by EXA. EXA brings the latest technology to gamers, offering the most immersive products for the ultimate gaming experience. They've compiled the best elements of cutting-edge ENC tech, the latest in Bluetooth 5.0 and 7.1 surround, plus extra features into their headsets so everyone can enjoy a sensational gaming experience. And they've got headsets for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. Plus, they won't break the bank. Learn more about the headsets that are available and any current promotions by going to f5live.tv/exa. So let's talk about what just happened. If you're watching on YouTube as a member, you just missed the ad that played. But for everybody else, let's talk about that little bumper that just played. We've been doing these bumpers for a decade and a half, possibly since the beginning, so potentially close to 17 years. We've done them pretty well unaltered. In the last year or so, rather than my reading the same copy every week, we have gone to a pre-recorded bumper to make things easier on me so I can increase the quality of some of the visuals and things like that. But even when it wasn't, it was me just reading the same copy every week, sometimes forgetting a line or a word or choking or whatever. So it's a better experience for our viewers. There's a logo, it comes up, it shows who our partner is, our affiliate is. This week, Twitch announced some changes to their branded content guidelines that would have made what you just watched on Twitch against the rules. And in our case, it would have been against the rules for two different reasons. The updated branded content guidelines said that no partner logo could be more than 3% of the screen real estate for an overlay, which works out to, I think, 56 by 31 pixels or something like that. It's a very small amount of screen, 58 by 32. Close enough. That's smaller than the F5 Live logo that's here in the corner, or in the center as a bug just for filling some space, right? So 3% real estate, so certainly not the big logo that was sitting here during the promo. And you can't use any pre-recorded content that involves a partner. So that whole bump would have been shot. there's a lot more to it. No pre-roll, mid-roll, post-roll content. No banners with partner content. All you could do is have a product, which we have had over the years, right? This microphone came from Skipper himself. I used to wear Monster headphones in the store in the shot all the time. The lights on the walls are from Monster. That was okay, although we never really talk about not an official relationship here. Or you could have some logoing in your real space behind you. So if you wanted to have a, to go back to Logitech from earlier, Logitech G, you could have some products from Logitech in the background, or the HoloLens theoretically here, right? But you could have logos and stuff in the background, but you couldn't have any overlays more than 3% of the screen. You couldn't have any pre-recorded content. Now, the creator community went crazy for good reason. We're nobody when it comes to Twitch. And we know that. We do this show live because it's easier on us, and it's a bonus that people watch and listen and chat with us. But recording this thing live is easier for both of us, which is why we've done it this way for 17 years. With or without listeners or viewers, certainly in the early days. The grand scheme of things, we're not Ninja, right?
Right.
We're far from it.
Right.
But people like Ninja, people like Avoiding the Puddles, and people like that have partners. They have sponsors. Some of them, like Ninja is a great example, have brand deals that involve pre, mid, and post-roll video. Putting logos in their starting soon video, which we don't have. We don't have any logos in our starting soon, but we could. But we couldn't under these new Twitch rules that came out, I believe, on Tuesday. And I mean, the community went nuts. Creators were tweeting at Twitch saying, y'all need to fix this or we're out. Because you know who doesn't have these rules? YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, Rumble. Nobody else has these rules about in-video streaming. So y'all need to fix this or we're out. Because we have contracts that last months, sometimes years, that say we have to run this. And if we can't on your platform, we've got to go somewhere else. Not to Mixer, since Microsoft got rid of that. This would have been the time for them to have it. But
yeah,
so Twitch heard the community, very quickly went into panic mode, and erased that clause. All of the restrictions on when, where, and how were pulled from the branded content guidelines. In the end, the only new addition that was put in, that was retained, is about the brand partner tool, brand compliance tool, something like that. Basically, you just have to say that I have branded content in my video. Same that we do on YouTube. I'm actually surprised it's taken this long. You know, I have to check a box when we're publishing to YouTube, including for the live show. I have to check a box that says there's branded content in the thing, and then when you start the video, there's a little thing that comes up in the top right corner that says this video contains paid content or paid promotion or something like that. And the same thing's going to happen on our channels. The same thing's going to happen on our videos on Twitch, which is fine. I am fine with the idea of a written thing that says we have partners. But the idea that they were going to say no to internal content, ooh, that was going to be a problem for them.
So this is interesting, and it feels like it relates back to my segment earlier about because it relates to like how much power does a particular platform have?
Yeah.
Where how much can it afford to anger the people who are creating or contributing to it?
Yeah.
right? Now, because Mixer went out of business, I would kind of assume that Twitch probably does have a fair amount of leverage, could put this into place, and you know, it would really hurt those creators because it's not guaranteed that they're that I mean, if you're Ninja, yeah, but others, it's not guaranteed that your audience would follow you
True.
to another platform. Uh,
Actually, Ninja's a great example. They didn't. He went
right.
from an average viewership of like, was it 350 before he left Twitch to like 45 on Mixer. His audience didn't follow him. He was probably the best known household name in game streaming, and his audience didn't follow him. The only streamer I can think of, and I apologize, Twitch, please don't take our channel down. The only streamer that I can think of who left Twitch and went to another platform and the audience followed and possibly grew on the other end was Dr. Disrespect. And that was because of the controversy that went around his leaving Twitch.
Right. So it's not, I mean, there's not a great, I mean, I guess YouTube would be sort of the, YouTube and Facebook would be where you would go if you want to leave Twitch. But,
YouTube is where Dr. D went.
right. But it's, you know, most people, like if you, you know, you'd be starting over to go somewhere else. So, you know, a lot, I think a lot of creators would have to think if Twitch did not back down, I think a lot of creators would have to ask like, okay, can I no longer do this through partner? You know, can I no longer do this partner stuff?
Yeah.
Therefore, I can't make money at this anymore. Therefore, I can't continue doing this, at least outside of it being a hobby.
Right.
So, I mean, I think, I mean, if you look at, I mean, it's kind of feels a little, you know, like how many publishers could say, I'm going, like Twitch needs creators,
Mm-hmm.
Google needs people. Actually, you know, Google may not act like it, but it actually needs content. Like it
Yeah.
needs people to publish quality content on the internet. So in theory, a whole bunch of websites could say, like, especially major publishers could get together and say, we're going to block Google, you
Yeah.
know. But if they did, so much of their traffic comes from Google that they would be hurting themselves so badly
Right.
that it would be really difficult
It would have
to.
to be a massive scale boycott, right? It couldn't just be a couple of sites. It would have to be all of the big guys. And when I say big guys, I mean everybody from the Washington Post and New York Times down through us. Like
Right,
it would
right.
have to be a huge scale boycott for Google to feel any possible effect. But with Twitch,
Yeah,
Twitch makes all of their money basically on the top 100 streamers. It would only require a portion of them to walk away, and Twitch would get kicked in the stomach hard and quick.
so I guess that is where, you know, having you know, they at least they were responsive, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it didn't have to come to that,
Right.
right? Like
But it
I,
looked like it was heading that direction because some of those top 100 were saying, I think this is the big one, boys. I think this is the one where we have to walk away.
right.
And
And
this has been a week of gaming boycotts and boycott threats because Activision's under it right now too. And like we've seen I know it's a weird seemingly off topic thing, but we have seen boycotts accomplish some stuff one way or another over the last couple of months, right? We've seen real world physical product companies respond to boycotts and boycott threats. I think Twitch felt that the world has proven that they can get together and make a voice heard, and they didn't want to be on the receiving end of that. This time it wasn't a political thing, it was a YMYL kind of a threat. But you know, I think they didn't want to be on the other end of that, especially when some of their top creators were the ones going, I think this is the big one.
Well, the creators really had no choice, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you have no choice, and that's, that was kind of my point about Google search as well. Like, if companies that rely on it to survive, for their business are now going to get 70 to 90% less traffic, because their links are not easily visible anymore. That's an existential threat. And so these folks on Twitch, they were an existential threat, right? And thankfully, it didn't come to that.
Yeah. The irony being that the better option in this case would have been Google.
Yeah. No question. I mean, video is an area, we don't need to get caught up in AI stuff again, but video is an area where you can see that AI is, not going to do a lot to displace, I don't know, just like if you're a streamer, if you're a quote unquote, a streamer, I hate the term content creator because I hate that term. But anyway, if you're a streamer, whatever, like there's AI can't really replace you, right? Like it
doesn't matter.
It can't.
It doesn't matter if we're talking about Ninja or talking about us. We do an opinion show here, right?
It's right. But you can't like, that's not something that like an AI can really replace.
Right.
I mean,
today
can try, but I mean, I guess the question is, do people watch Ninja because they want to see someone playing a game? In which case, I guess you could have an AI go play through a game too. But like, or do they watch it because they want to see Ninja play a game? So
they want to see Ninja play. And so one of the things we do streaming coaching over at Strike, and one of the things that we tell people is that you don't have to be a great player. Ninja happens to be a great player. But you don't have to be a great player to be a great streamer. Because if you've got a personality, you can make it work. You can do really well playing okay or poorly. And have a personality, create a character. Dr. D is a great example, right? He's not the world's best player, but he's hilarious. And so people watch because there's a weird character that he created. So you're not going to create that character with AI to play the game and be able to interact with chat and make fun of the audience like some streamers do, or whatever. Yeah, AI is not going to be doing that.
Right.
That's a very specific and weird skill set.
Right. So for those sort of weird, so if everybody in the future, would Andy Warhol say everyone will be famous for 15 minutes? Well, everyone will need to be an influencer. Those will be the jobs that are left.
Yeah.
Influencer and streamer.
And prompt writer.
And prompt writer. So yeah, I mean, it's good that Twitch was responsive. I hope that that's why I think there's power in people making their voices heard. Yeah. That's why in my segment I was kind of elsewhere I've been ringing the alarm about Google's SGE, because I hope that enough folks kind of make their displeasure about what Google is proposing known, and maybe put some pressure on Google not to do this. just
Yeah.
like people put pressure on Twitch not to do this thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Streamers and
it's
viewers
also
alike all
yes,
put
yeah,
pressure on
exactly.
Twitch on this one, which was important. And so I on the Google topic, I think it's important to do the same thing. It's got to be both the writers, the publishers, and the readers that need to say
Yeah,
no.
right, exactly. I mean, I think that's really key is that folks make their voice heard.
Agreed. Hopefully, we won't see anything else like this pop up on Twitch, and I don't think we will because I definitely think they learned their lesson and hard. This week's news from the tubes on F5 Live Refreshing Technology is proudly powered by Malwarebytes. Whether you use a PC, a Mac, or a mobile device, Malwarebytes Premium is the company's strongest protection ever. It fights threats that traditional antivirus software can't stop, plus, it actively blocks threats like worms, rogues, dialers, trojans, spyware, and a whole lot more. It allows you to use your computer and mobile devices with confidence and peace of mind. To learn more and to get a special price, you can go to f5live.tv/malwarebytes. I just realized that I should have been moving the HoloKit closer to the camera during every segment, but that's neither here nor there. So ever since Elon Musk announced his intention to purchase Twitter, things have been weird. Seems like every time we turn around, something strange is happening over there, possibly in need of Ghostbusters or an exorcist. But whenever there's something strange going on like that, others try to come in and eat their lunch, right? It's always what happens. And in this case is no different. Twitter has seen challenges from the likes of Mastodon and Hive Social, which I actually have on my phone, though I haven't used it in ages except for when writing this. These other services have mostly not caught on, at least not for mass adoption, for a variety of reasons. Mastodon has suffered from the nature of its distributedness, making it a little difficult to create an account and get anything done on the platform. Hive suffered from some quick programming laziness that turned out to be leaving some data completely wide open on their platform. They shut down for a while, fixed things, came back. But as we know, when a company hurts its image like that early on, trust is broken. It's hard to get that back. So Hive has suffered there. But now, a company whose trust was broken long ago, but has managed to continue to soldier on, is looking to get into the challenging Twitter space, and that is Meta. Through the Instagram team, there is a product under development, maybe, certainly under concept, called Project 92. That's the internal code name, though what we're hearing is that the actual product is currently being called Threads, with the possibility of that being its launch name. It's somewhat of a Twitter clone. It's intended for text-based short form social media posting. You know, what Twitter was originally built on, though it has expanded past its initial concept. It looks very much like Instagram. A screenshot from The Verge from a presentation internally shows if you were to remove the photo from an Instagram post, you've got Threads. Like that's 100% what it looks like. It's even using right now the same iconography. It's got the heart, the chat bubble, and the paper airplane for comment, or for like, comment, and share. The big difference is that there's also a refresh icon between between comment and share that obviously is intended to be a retweet type feature. It's definitely an interesting concept. Facebook slash Meta slash Instagram doesn't really have to deal with the same thing that Hive dealt with, in that, they don't really have the possibility of breaking people's trust early on. Because again, they've already done that. The people who aren't going to use a Meta product aren't using a Meta product, and this isn't going to change that. And the people who aren't worried about Cambridge Analytica and the likes. And they're literally building it on the same protocol that Mastodon used, except you don't have to worry about all the oddities of sign up because you're just going to use an Instagram account. It's an interesting situation for sure. It seems like if somebody could challenge Twitter's place in the industry, it would be Meta. Although Reels have had absolutely seemingly no effect on TikTok's dominance, so maybe they don't have it anymore. I mean, they did basically put Snapchat out to pasture with stories on Facebook and Instagram, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Meta could create a challenge here, or are they just out over their skis?
No, I think they could, because they already have an audience, right? They already have people using accounts. So all you would need to do is get people to spend less time on Twitter and more time on Instagram.
Right.
It would not be hard. In fact, I love this idea. I love this idea. Because I could use in other areas to promote my work, and I have never really thought about Instagram as an appropriate um, platform to promote my work, because I don't know, I think of Instagram as kind of like a photo site that is for people showing off, I don't know, how other people, and
Yeah.
I don't know, modeling and their pets and stuff
Right.
like that. I don't think of it as a tech place, and I don't think of it as like a serious news place.
The fact
Um,
that you can't put a link in a post.
you know, so I never, to be honest with you, I've used Instagram like 3 times in my life, because I really don't think much of it as a platform for the kind of things that I want to share and read
Yeah.
online. But you know, they've got a sizable audience.
Mm-hmm.
They certainly have the capacity, like they have the technology, the server capacity for Meta. Twitter's got a lot of problems, and there's nothing particularly special about Twitter's um, technology. It's just that a lot of people are using it, and
Right.
it's been hard to build an alternative. That it's been hard to get people to switch and moss to an alternative. But if you take something that a lot of people are already on, and you say, hey, we're going to change this up so that we're going to change this up. You don't need a new membership. Um, Although I don't even know if I have an Instagram account, but I would have one for this, right? Like, um, so I think they're going to. Um, I think this is a good idea, because Twitter, there's blood in the water. Like, Twitter has got a lot of
Yeah.
problems. They've got a lot of problems. I mean, yes, if you are hanging out and you're seeing tweets from your friends and other people you follow, you might think, oh, it's not so bad. But um, the company is first of all, has technical problems because they got rid of a lot of the people who are handling that. Although it could be worse, right? Um, they apparently the amount of like hate speech on the platform has jumped up dramatically. Hate speech and abuse uh, has jumped up dramatically since a lot of those safety folks were let go. Um, it's and then you have the owner of the platform making the platform about him,
Yeah,
like
that's for sure.
like whether you agree with his views or not, like this is not what a CEO should probably be doing on a social media company, is trying to make the service about themselves.
Yeah,
Like
how often do we hear about Facebook or anything from Zuckerberg on Facebook?
I can't recall ever. I don't know if
I
anybody follows him on Facebook. I don't know if
I
anybody
have
cares.
I have one thing, one I don't remember what it was, but I can think of one time. I think we even quoted it in an article. Like we linked to the post in an article. But one time in all these years has he said something that caught anybody's attention on the platform. Once. And yet
If
Musk is
I
out there, firing shots in all directions hoping to hit something and making it all
right,
about him. It's
right, it's
now the fact that he has stepped away as CEO and somebody else is taking over day to day, but that just gives him more time to be clickety clacking on his phone, which may not make it better.
which really proves that all the success of his companies was probably created by other people or had very little to do with him, because he's all what is he doing with his life? He's sitting around tweeting tweeting his support for conspiracy theories or whatever. Like
Or shooting dolls into space.
he's he's not brand safe, right? Like
He would not fall under the branded content guidelines on Twitch.
he's not brand like if you like. I think what most companies that run a platform um, like Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or even a search engine like Google, they don't want to be seen as taking controversial positions. They want the No, you
Depends on
don't
the
think so?
controversial position, but yeah, I think for the most part, there are certain
I mean,
controversial positions that are
they
popular.
might they might do things that are controversial, but they
That's
don't I
for
don't think
sure.
they want to be seen as doing things like anytime they do something that's controversial, it's because very often it's because not doing it like it's because not doing it would also be controversial, right?
That's true.
You can't win. Like,
Double-edged sword.
if you block a certain person or you don't block a certain person or whatever, either way there's controversy, right?
Hmm.
But I think most of these brands, they don't want to be seen as having a bias. They certainly don't want the focus to be on the executives of the company. They just want
I
people to
agree
use
with
the
that.
platform, right? And and Elon Musk came in and decided that he was going to buy Twitter so that he could personally elevate his own posts. Like there's been stories
Yeah,
about them having meetings talking about how can they make sure that more people see Elon Musk's posts and tweak the algorithm just for him.
yeah, I
Like
believe that.
that's
He,
like
this is a
that's
dude that
not a
this is a dude
business,
that kicked the front door of the HQ open carrying a sink. I He's a weird dude.
right?
I
So
think we all expected. Now, most of us didn't expect the sale to go through, but after it did, I think we all expected that this was going to be a wild ride, and it has been an unpredictable, absolute wild ride every single day. So it'll be interesting to see. just like, Google's AI search. There's no telling if this will actually come to market. They're in playing around with it mode. I don't know that there's an actual working thing. I think it's all like mock-ups and stuff for right now. But I think I'm with you. I think there's blood in the water one way or another. Again, love him or hate him, agree with him or not. I think there's blood in the water. And I think there's space for somebody to come in. I don't remember who it was. There's a big investor that said this week that Elon Musk is trying to make Twitter the next MySpace.
Yeah, I mean, didn't it lose 2/3 of its value or something?
Something like that.
It's poison
Now,
to advertisers. Why would you advertise there?
In fairness, it had lost 2/3 of its value before he wrote the check, but that was a whole different.
Well, it's lost even more value. He's certainly doing nothing to help it.
Yeah.
And like, it's not brand, like, it was never said that it was not brand safe. Like, now it's not brand safe. Like, you don't want to be on Twitter if you're an advertiser.
Depending on the advertiser, but yeah.
I mean, and the ad, especially because you could end up next to hate speech or something like that. I mean,
True.
You don't want to be on there.
But I mean, it's always been easy on Twitter to be next to hate speech. It just depends on who it's targeted.
Right, but the idea was that is that the platform should be trying to have less of that, right? Because that's why user generated content
unless their
has less value.
Unless their particular goal is to not be that, which it sounded like that was the case, but it didn't play out that way exactly. Right? Certain promises were made, they didn't hold up. It's been weird. The whole thing has been weird. And I think the market is ripe for somebody to come in and do some damage. This week's DRM Not Included on F5 Live Refreshing Technology is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. We all know that you get free shipping on millions of products with Amazon Prime, but you get a whole lot more. Like free music with Amazon Prime Music, free TV, movies, and documentaries with Amazon Prime Video, free games, and a free Twitch subscription to support the content creator of your choice with Amazon Prime Gaming, plus a whole lot more. We've got links to all of these features and some of our favorites, plus a 30-day free trial, all by going to f5live.tv/prime. If you're not aware, the long-rumored and then formalized plan to crack down on password sharing on Netflix went into effect on May 23rd. Industry analysts were split on the move. Some thought that it was a brilliant move that was going to generate more revenue for Netflix. Others thought that it might be the thing that finally takes down the behemoth. As it turns out, maybe the first group was right. In the week following the password crackdown implementation on May 23rd, the company has seen its four largest customer growth days in over 4.5 years, with May 26th and 27th each having more than 100,000 new signups in the US alone, meaning that they have seen more than 200,000 new subscribers join. We do not know how many people went negative on that, so we don't know what the balance is. But it's the two largest new user sign up days in in nearly half a decade, which is a big deal. It definitely means that people wanted to stay with the service and they were willing to swap to their own accounts. Apparently, in a pretty big numbers. We're still dealing with subscription fatigue for a lot of people, but it seems like Netflix is still able to keep fighting that and bucking that trend, Avram.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they are. It's so. I mean, I feel like this comes back to some of our other segments, right? About like, I think we were talking before about Napster, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how, like, at one point, everybody was downloading uh, songs. Well, I won't say everybody, but a lot of people were downloading songs for pirated songs for free.
Yeah.
And I remember some of the arguments that people had against cracking down on that. When some folks came along with Metallica, but also the RIAA came along and were like, "Hey, listen, you guys can't do this anymore. People have to pay for this." And there was all this talk about, well, people are just going to walk away. They're not going to. They're not going to pay for it. Blah blah
Right.
blah. I wouldn't have listened to that anyway. So therefore my piracy doesn't matter because I wouldn't have watched it paid for it anyway. Right? I mean
Yeah.
that's right. I mean I heard those arguments all the time. Like,
All the time.
when when Napster itself and Spotify and and others came along and were like, hey, we're making this a paid system now, amazingly, people were willing to pay. Now,
Yep.
the fact that they could get it for free, I think damaged the value prop. I mean,
Yeah.
damaged the amount that people were paying because now you're paying like $10 a month and you can listen to like every piece of music ever recorded,
Pretty much.
whereas before Napster you were paying like $16 for an album with 10 songs on it, only one of which you liked. So,
Right.
you know, it would so it
But
definitely
but at,
swung.
at the same time, you had Apple and a couple of other services that were selling songs solo at 99 cents.
Right,
Um,
right,
and they were doing business there versus CD
right,
sales, but not certainly not at the rate of download. And I think those two things together came and middle grounded into things like Spotify and what else was there early in the subscriptions? The Napster streaming service, the Zune streaming service, the Beats
right,
Music, some of the early ones, Pandora.
right. Right. But you got to a point now where it's like, oh, you could get pretty much everything for
Yeah,
a very low price. But I guess the message I'm trying to say is like people didn't walk away from music because they can no longer get it for free.
right.
Are not going to walk away. A lot of people are not going to walk away from Netflix because they can no longer password share. They're
Right.
going to be annoyed uh, that they can't do it. I get it, but like, you know, and I don't think you're going to see a lot of people quitting in disgust, right? Like, I don't think there's going to
I
be a lot of
agree.
people like, I can't share this password anymore, so I just unsubscribe. I
Flip the
think
table,
it's
walk
probably
away.
more. I feel like it's more likely that the people who had the account are now going to be. First of all, I think there's some kind of thing where you can pay extra to share your password.
You can
So
per
did they
location,
reveal that, or was it just how
just new
many they got from
signups.
that? Just new
So
signups.
so this isn't from Netflix. These numbers are coming to us care of Antenna, which is a statistics and data system, and they've been tracking Netflix signups and stuff for well, at least certainly over 5 years because we've got data going back that far.
Yeah. So, um, I mean, yeah. So I think there's probably a fair number of people who are like, look, this co-location thing isn't going to work for me anyway. I'm just gonna bite the bullet and sign up for Netflix on my
Yeah.
own. I doubt that there's too many people who are like, oh, I'm just quitting in disgust, and neither of us will use this password anymore.
Right.
It's so. I mean, I think more. I mean, I think people knew they were kind of getting away with something, and they were annoyed that they couldn't get away with it anymore. I
Yeah.
get it, but like you knew you were getting away with something, so okay, it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, I can see how that would grow their subscription. Now, I think the writer's strike that may that may have an impact on people
Everybody.
suspending subscriptions, uh, and things like that. I
I
mean,
agree. I
so
Interestingly, I have a feeling that the writer's strike is going to do wonders for Hulu and Peacock because people are going to go back to their old favorites from the past. The Office, 30 Rock, Parks and Rec, these shows that people watch over and over. I'm one of them. I get it. I have they're background noise for me most of the time. Um, I've got like 6 or 7 shows that are good background noise when I'm working. There's just sound. It keeps the dog from barking and things like that. That I'm not actually paying attention to because I can recite you all the lines of every episode of Futurama, at least for the next couple of weeks. So I have a feeling that Hulu and Peacock are actually going to see an uptick from the writer's strike, and everybody else who relies on a stronger showing of new content is going to suffer from it. That's I've been
yeah, which
I've been wondering how that was going to go for a little while, and that's my current
which
feeling.
which might be Netflix, right? Which might be Netflix that suffers under
Yeah,
this type of regime.
Netflix and Max are the two that I'm thinking are going to take the biggest hit.
You know. Now, speaking of stuff like that, I saw the Dungeons and Dragons movie last week
Mm-hmm.
on Paramount
Uh
Plus,
huh.
and it is awesome, and everyone should see it.
It really is.
It is. So
I was
that's
I was pleasantly shocked.
it was really really good. It made me and my son start looking for a game we could join.
We're gonna
So
we're gonna start one at Strike partially because of the movie.
yeah, so mission accomplished. They did a great job, but
Yeah.
so, but like Paramount Plus is really not a bad example, also of a service that people could use
Yeah.
during
For old
could
and new.
for old and new. I mean, another thing is I wonder now. Netflix also though has a lot of foreign shows, foreign language shows, and outside the U.S. productions, and
True.
I bet those are not affected by the writers' strike.
True.
So there
True.
is that, right?
Yeah. It comes down to when things are translated and dubbed, how is that done? And are those people also going to be striking in solidarity?
You mean do the people who write the subtitles?
Or when they're dubbed? Because a lot of times
Oh,
the
don't.
dubbing is done so that the English words mostly match with the lips in a way that is sometimes
Uh,
fascinating.
don't. I can't abide that. Don't listen, folks. Don't listen to dubbing. It's not their real voice. You can't have that. Now, mind you, Isaac, my son Isaac, was having this, and I were having this conversation because he doesn't really know about he doesn't know much about dubbing and the fact that they have actors who do it, and he
Hmm.
said something like maybe AI can just do voices for people, and could just do voices for people, and then they could use AI image generation to make it look like the mouths were moving the right way.
They
And I said I
absolutely
wouldn't be
can.
surprised if
Oh,
that I wouldn't be surprised if that happens soon.
if not already.
You know, because I mean,
Haven't considered that.
part of the one of the things that Nvidia showed, right, was that they have a thing for games that will do that with game characters. But you
Yeah.
know, moving a game character's mouth is different than trying to recreate the mouth of a real person that's already been recorded. So I don't know.
I've had some stuff for a couple of years that'll take a still photo and allow you to have the mouth move in unison with a voice put underneath it, and it's done it pretty reliably off of a still image. So it's all about being able to map the mouth points and stuff. It's surprisingly easy to do. The manipulation is really impressive.
All right, well then. So Netflix may come out okay after all if they focus. And you know what? I like some of the. I actually like a lot of the foreign language stuff. So
Yeah.
uh, that's that's good.
There's a German show
But
I watched about a time traveling cave or
oh
something.
Dark,
Yeah.
Dark, Dark is a amazing show. Amazing show.
Yeah, it is.
Unbelievable.
And I'll
Amazing
tell you,
show. Dark.
it took me, like, it wasn't the first scene. It wasn't a Godzilla movie. It wasn't the first scene where I went, well, this was definitely another language. I was watching it going, this isn't quite... Are my speakers out of sync? Maybe I need to back out of this episode and start it again. Maybe my audio's a little out of sync. But something's... No. For like the first couple minutes, I was like, no. Yeah, this is another link. No. So they can do really well at writing altered translation dialogue to match mouth to words. It's pretty impressive just doing it naturally. And then, you know, if you can do a little bit of manipulation on top of it, yeah, it'll be unnoticeable at some point. So, but yeah, Netflix is seeing an up right now. The writer's strike might undo all of that for a while with pauses, not full cancellations of subscriptions. But that's part of what the writer's strike is hoping to accomplish, is to show the streaming services, you know, how important the writers are. So we will definitely see how all of this ends up playing out. Well, that is our show. Thank you to those of you who joined us live. We always appreciate our live listeners and viewers. If you didn't join us live and would like to in the future, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, you can go to f5live.tv/join us. If you can't join us live, that's okay. PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows, F5 Live, Piltch Point, PLUGHITZ Live Presents, Unboxed, How To, and a whole bunch more. And of course, all the ways to watch, listen, and follow along. We got some interesting new stuff coming here, hopefully in the near future. Getting into the podcasting 2.0 stuff. We'll see how all of that goes because I'm testing it right now. So fingers crossed on that one. But like I said earlier, we've got a lot of new content coming on the site, so definitely stay tuned over there. And I think with that, on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we'll see you back next time. Ciao.